Good afternoon, everyone, Trading Trends viewers. It is Friday. Happy Friday, May 2nd, 2025. Coming at you with a really good show today, a big one, too. Always love the end of the week wrap up. Helps us make sense of the entire week, and hopefully helps you formulate and stick with your process, too. We got a new entry on the top 3 trades of the past year, and it's had a massive surge this week. This ETF, Nation ETF, continues to hit new all-time highs today. I'm going to give it away in the graphic in a second. This really cannot be ignored. Let's take a look. This is not just, and we were talking about it on the chart report with friends the other day. This is no, small trend here, or a hiccup or anything. This is true. If folks don't know the map, or there are flags rather, that is Germany. Ciao. What's up, Tony? Oh, I had you in mind as well. Nat gas, huge week. We'll take a look at it. I'm sorry. Let us know, Tony, Italia, ciao bene, if you're still in that position or if you reverse and whatnot. I would love to hear from you. And any other tickers you have, put it in there. I know Palantir earnings are Monday. Thing ripped today as well. So here, really important today, we'll do the day recap. Big emerging markets day. The dollar was down somewhat, but really the moves were in Taiwan, a monster move. We'll take a look at that. China did very well, and EEM all jumped while bonds fell. And then the explanation of the graphic there, Germany and EUFN, for those that don't know, that's the European Financials ETF, continue to make new all-time highs, and that is Lady Liberty trying to find her way there. SPY at a critical point right here. We'll look at that chart in a second. And then as we recap, I'm all out of nat gas. Yes, let's go over Palantir. I can pull it up again. My opinion is not going to change too much on the Palantir forecast. We'll take a look. I also talked to the other viewer that had a suggestion, Aline, over Palantir. She's doing point figures and actually has a somewhat different target for me. So I think you could take something away from that too. I will highlight it at the end of the show. Recapping the week. So really at the end of the day, SPY returned 3% this week. Very nice. It's had a much stronger rally over the past 3 weeks off the lows. But this week, when all said and done, the best part to be in the market, a huge double-digit rally in nat gas. Sorry, Tony. And Taiwan. And we were saying before that nat gas chart, it's volatile. You got to give it some space. And it really just buckled a little bit beneath the 200-day. And it was the best place to be in the market this entire week. So, some things we got right in this doc. I will pat myself on the back. Other things I did not. So we'll take a look at it. And then drop in oil that we called right. We said I would not buy here, and it was actually the biggest loser this week, oil. So we'll take a look at all these. So first, let's get into the intraday chart. What's up? I hope everyone has some good Friday plans going on here. I think it's supposed to form here on the East Coast in New Jersey until like Wednesday. So that'll be fun with 2 kids at home. All right. So real fast before we get to the intraday chart, massive, not massive, but a very strong, nice move. What you wanted to see out of SPY. Really fast, just looking at some singles. Tesla up 2% and change, NVIDIA up 2%. We were talking about the big players yesterday, Apple and Amazon. It's funny. I can't believe I didn't really think about this earlier. When we had the earnings quickly, Wednesday night was obviously very, very tariff-focused companies like Apple. Not tariff-focused companies on Wednesday, like Microsoft and Meta. More obviously, digital infrastructure, AI, etc. And then we had obviously very good returns, earnings from both of those folks. And then yesterday, you have very tariff-sensitive companies like Apple. Where are they going to make the phones? Are the Chinese going to buy them at that price? Are they not? And Amazon, one of the companies literally at the focus. And then what happened today? It was almost, of course, hindsight's always 2020, but it was an easier way to go into it, saying Wednesday the software companies were going to be by IGV, by a Microsoft, by a Meta. And then Thursday night, the goods related companies were going to sell off. Apple did not do so well. They're down 4%. Some of it was on China fears essentially. And then Amazon, it actually ended up being just flat. Not a terrible day for Amazon. This one got as low as, 187.5 and ended up closing just about flat. So it was funny in retrospect, seeing that, sure, Wednesday was going to be the one that you would have bought, calls on, and Thursday would have bought puts on those companies. So just something in retrospect. I wish I'd really hit me in the face earlier. They continue to buy Meta up 4%. Palantir, Tony's boy, everyone's boy, up 7% today to 124. Let's see if that changes my projections. I did say 2 days ago, Palantir, I think I said 140 to the upside if they beat, but this thing is really chugging along. It is the best stock in the market along with Netflix here. Microsoft, they continue to buy it up 2, Strategy up 3, Bitcoin looks great. We will take a look at IBIT, Netflix up 2%, Taiwan Semi up 4%. The Taiwan Nation was up even more than that. And then, yeah, that's it for now. All right, so here's the intraday chart. You had the the earnings overhang, if you will, coming in from yesterday, and I believe it was either last night or the other day about the Wall Street Journal reporting that they're going to replace Elon as the CEO of Tesla. For what it's worth, I think he denied it or something, that the board of directors were looking. Anyway, so nice trading all day here. You could see in the orange line, which is our VWAP, volume weighted average price. It was today lower volume, but typically that's what you see on rallies, and heavier volume on sell-offs because people sell and then ask questions later. A very nice day. We peaked at 2:30 p.m. all the way to 568, and then a little bit of selling. I started to get a little bit almost concerned. We sold under VWAP at 330. VWAP was 566.19. We just got underneath it by a smidge, and it didn't look like momentum was going to carry, and clearly above 50 RSI all day. And then we ended up closing still above VWAP, basically at 567. As I zoom out, we get to our long-term forecast here. So, I mean, I was talking about this last week when we're going to get tired, right? When is it going to happen? There were several levels that you wanted to see get hit. So my first level was the 1 year 50% Fibonacci, and that is right here where my cursor was. It was 547.5. I borderline have a splash of the TISM, so that's why I know that. And that 547.5 is very important. It is the 1 year 50% Fibonacci, as well as those lows from March and the highs from this month right after we experienced our lows. So it's super duper important. Super duper being a financial term, of course. Important that we hold that 548 level. Okay, super important. Now, the next level after that was I was looking to if we could take out the 50-day moving average, and that's at 555. We've done that now this week. The next one is we're magnetized to it is the rolling over 200-day moving average. It's actually, I'm looking at it right here. I'm getting in the weeds. 573.04, 03, 04. It's flatline. I'll call that flat at 573. It looks like we're magnetized towards that. I have a bad feeling it's going to get the Kembate at that line, so I wouldn't be adding a ton of exposure here, but folks have been saying that for a week, and you would have missed a 3% rally in SPY. Yeah, it looks like it wants to get to that. I just don't know if it's going to be enough. Again, just for some dates to add to this, we have not been above that level, the 575 strictly mark. Since March 6th. So there's a lot of resistance there. Actually, sorry, March 26th. But that's going to be a huge level of resistance. I would think if you were long, I would think that's where you cash out. But we'll see. If we have a week's worth of closes above that, then I would say that's significant. And bull market is back again. This looks V-shape. If you could show this to a 3-year-old, this looks like the letter V here with a clear bottom on April 7th. I know folks were saying Goldman, JP, we could retest the lows, and the worst is not yet behind us. I still tend to agree with that. It is impressive, though. We are above 50 RSI since April 25th. That's great to see. We've now been there for a week. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want to see more buyers than sellers, and that's what's happening here. I just think the buck's going to hit the road, kind of like what happened to the Pistons last night. You could force a 3-2 series, but at the end of the day, the better team wins. And right now, the U.S. is still not, as far as I'm concerned, the best place to be. But this is decent, good-looking trading. So, again, I now do think we probably will hit close to that 573 mark, at some point next week. We are in May now as well. The whole old adage, sell in May and go away. Does it come true this year? I think it does, but we shall see. I just still don't get warm fuzzies over the market. This came off from significantly oversold. You think fat person on the trampoline again. So you get over here. Look at the bottom of this wick. We should have never traded to 482, and then we closed that day at 503, and look where we're at now, 567. So again, I think we will be magnetized towards that 573 mark right around here in the next week or so, and then I still do think we make a move towards this 550 mark. So that is my tell. Let's go through some of the tickers and then probably put some smoke, add some coals to the fire. I'm tired. 2 kids at home. You know what it is. Same excuse, different day. All right, let's take a look. We shall first. I got some really good tickers today, including a new entry. Like I said, Germany, one of the 3 best ETF trades of the past year. That is no, flash in the pan or flavor of the week. It's really, really a significant move, and I think you have to really, if you weren't before looking at Germany value or European value, you really have to. They're making all-time highs. So what are you doing? Again, things that are not U.S. related. Okay, so Taiwan, this has had an amazing rally. So this is kind of resembling of the S&P here. So you've seen this just go higher and higher and higher. This thing has gone from, I'm not even taking the absolute lows here, $40. I'm just looking at this here, the trough here, slicing to $44 on April 22nd, just a week and a half ago or so. We've gone from 44 to 51, essentially, almost in a straight line. Again, its 200-day moving average is going lower. It's at 52 even. We're essentially at 51. A monster move. That is not a typo. It's up 6.5% today. Taiwan Semi was up 4%, so largely powering it. Like I said, emerging markets were the place to be today. We'll look at a couple others, but this is kind of similar forecast to what I said in the S&P in terms of resistance getting towards an upper Bollinger Band and such. Yes, this could get... 1 second. My charts had a little hiccup here. Uno momento, por favor. And that is an international phrase. Last I checked, it's Spanish. Okay. So this could get to basically similar to S&P. I think this could tag its 200-day moving average, and then that's going to prove to be a little bit too much. So I would see this. Obviously, it looks like it has more to go. This wants to go and test the whole trees grow to the sky theory. But I think this tags 52, especially off of a candle like this. And in about 2-3 weeks, it will test around $48. So a little volatility in Taiwan, but right now it's going one direction. I see this continuing up until it tags at 52. Could it potentially get to 52.25 and stuff like that? Yeah, especially considering when I look at the context, the resistance really comes at $53. So we'll see. Taiwan, a very interesting place to be. This looks like it has a little bit more potentially, but I think 52 will prove right around there will prove to be a bit too much. But massive day, the biggest multiple sigma gainer today, up 6.5%. I know folks were looking at IWM up 2.25%. This Taiwan doesn't move like this. This is a massive move for Taiwan, 6.5%. That's large for any index. Second biggest place to be, Chinese internet, KWEB. We haven't looked at this for a while. This is a good looking chart. This was a 4.5% today. That is a beast. I gotta remember to take a breath during these things. So KWEB, all the charts look the same to me, to be frank, in terms of maybe a little bit more to go. These have all had very sharp rallies. I can stop shouting now. The AC just cooled down here, so I could stop shouting. So again, similar to the S&P, it wasn't coming off a 52-week low, though. However, it did come off of oversold conditions, and this thing springs from 28 all the way to 33. You see the powerful, strong 200-day moving average at 31 even, essentially. And it had, a forgivable April 7th through about April 21st, two weeks in purgatory here, and now has sprung to life. I think this potentially has a little bit more to go, but really there's resistance up here, and it's had a big run. Good looking candle. Potentially it gets to 34.5 to $35 before I think it wants to rest closer to this $32 handle. So again, a lot of similar charts in my opinion, with like a little bit more upside as these stocks try to base and reset higher before consolidating in the next couple of weeks. This has been an amazing run if you're long anything, essentially, almost in the past couple of weeks. And the third best place to be today, third biggest mover, obviously, making up basically what we were just talking about, Taiwan, Chinese internet. It's a larger basket, EEM. EEM, a strong move, up 2.8% today. Emerging markets was the place to be. There's other nations I could have mentioned that had huge rips today. South Korea. There's lots of big movers in emerging markets today. Similar thing here. I think it's hitting resistance. This might have a little bit to go. You can clearly see the resistance here at 45.5. It has not been above that level for more than one close since before Halloween. So this is a huge, huge marker for EEM. Very interesting. It's got like almost a technicians say there's no such thing as a triple top because it'll break through. This thing has tested 45.40 since boopity bop. What is this? Veterans Day. Okay, so since November. So this is 6 months running here. The 200-day moving average is stuck at 43.5. We have cleared above that. This potentially wants to go a little bit higher, but then I do see this consolidating just around its 200-day moving average, potentially a little bit lower, but I'm not so sure. I think this holds on and it tests 43.5 in a couple of weeks. So again, maybe a little bit more to about 45.25, and I think it's going to prove too much. It's going to be range bound and then drop down to that 43.5 mark. All I do is deal in probabilities. I'm not predicting the future. It's just Bayesian probabilities, and we see, what is more likely, especially after the range and depth it's had. But really good looking trading, similar to the S&P in terms of holding a 50 RSI for the past 10 days or such. This has really been a strong move, 43 to 45. Nice one for EEM. Down movers, there's only one big mover here. It's actually an ETF that I don't think too many people look at. This is the short-term futures. Bonds got hit pretty hard today. So again, this is the short-term futures. I'm not going to get too into this, but this was the only mover here. Rates were higher, pretty significantly. Financials are up big, largely due to the rally in the bonds, we'll say. In rates. This one here looks like it's had a nice run. Again, this is the short-term bonds, short-term Treasury futures, to be exact. This one looks like it's just going to go a little bit south to about 21.80 or so. So again, that would mean bonds continue to slide and rates would go higher. I think that potentially puts a lid on the market to explain my bearishness for the next 2 weeks. But it's been a heck of a ride over the last 2-3 weeks in many markets. Okay, top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. If you got a ticker, please put it in. A lot of stuff moved this week. The top gainer of the entire week, it's Friday afternoon. We can do this now. Natural gas, the best gainer, man. And it really was, because it was a pretty bottom right there, and it absolutely shot right back up. So this was the point I was saying to you, Tony. The 200-day moving average was very important to me. This is a volatile asset. I like that it was not super correlated to United States markets like Mag 7, et cetera, where there's been an exit, and it also has a different appreciation to the U.S. dollar. So I really liked having a spot of this in the portfolio. And I recommended call spreads last week, 1x2s, or selling puts because they would have paid. So the cute thing is what we said last week to you is you can short this down to about 15.5 is where I had my cursor right here. And that's what I said to you last week. It got underneath it to 15.04. Again, it's closing prices. It closed at 15.5 on the 24th. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I picked the numbers from probabilities, and that's super important. This just had 4 closes underneath the 200-day. That is forgivable. That's fine. It held it. Look at that, 16.30, and now we're all the way at 18.25. Nat gas, the best week of any asset. Okay, obviously not stocks like a Palantir or something, but in terms of all ETF land, so basically all markets, nat gas was the place to be today, up 5.7%, absolutely ripping. I see this going for about another week or so. It's hitting a little bit. I don't even want to say it's hitting a hiccup here at about $18, which is the 21-day exponential moving average. But I think this continues to go higher. I think this potentially goes as high as right there, the upper Bollinger Band, about $20, $19.50 to $20. So it's got about another $1.20, another 6-8% to go to the upside for natural gas. And it's gotten above 50 RSI again for the first time since the beginning of the month. So good stuff to see in nat gas. An absolutely stellar week. The best of any ETF, up 17%, or an average of 3 and change per day today, 2x that. Second best place to be. We already looked at this earlier, so I'm not going to kill a dead horse, but Taiwan, the second best ETF, up 10% in the past week. An absolute just monster. Today was up 6.5% of that 10. But as you can see, it had a straight line going up, track record going back from the 22nd. So an absolutely just stellar rally. Again, 44 to 51. Any type of long position this, you would have absolutely crushed it. Selling puts, buying call spreads, 1x2s. It was just absolutely stellar. Again, I think it'll get prove too much, this 52. I think it's going to be a little bit heavy. Potentially it nicks its head like it did here. And this was the rising 200-day moving average, and it was still too much. And it still hasn't really conquered any new highs since February. So I don't, it's been a great emerging markets place to be since the lows of April 9th. But I think this one's nearing an end here at 52, and potentially fear comes into the markets, over the next 2 weeks. But Taiwan, the second best place to be this week, up 10% on an average of 2% a day. Obviously today doing much more than that. And then this one, the third best place to be this week. I haven't looked at this one in a long time. This is one of the best ETFs of 2024, I believe top 5. Look what is happening. This is the Jets ETF, the airlines. So these are your Deltas, United, American, so on and so forth. Oil's tanking, right? Oil's one of the worst places to be, down 7-8% this week. Of course, the beneficiary is airlines. This has been sold off aggressively from its highs in January. Obviously, with a lot of concerns about the consumer, right? A lot of people are canceling or postponing, or more so really canceling their summer vacations. I'm seeing that can be anecdotal, but folks are obviously a little bit more stretched. I see people are canceling hairdressing appointments and stuff. Obviously, I am. So yeah, this did not suffer a 52-week low. It came very close. Its 52-week low was Yen-Mageddon back at 1617 handle back from August. It came very close when S&P was hitting its 52-week lows. This was oversold, just as oversold as it was in mid-March, and then it sprung all the way back from 17 to 20. This may have a little bit more to go. I see it potentially getting to its 200-day, like 21.5. But I think it's going to prove too much as well. This 200-day moving average, by the way, is still rising. It's a 22.09. It's rising, albeit very, very small, like literally a penny a day. So, and it's closing in on its 50-day moving average. So a lot of markets here, after a great reset, very strong rallies in the past 3-4 weeks, are hitting very important levels of 200-day moving averages. Now we'll see, was this just not a dead cat bounce, was this just a nice rally off the bottom? Or are we saying, hey, you know what? We know what these averages are, these 10-month averages for these indices, SPY, airlines, etc. And are we confident that this is still the place to be or not? I'm not convinced. I don't think so. This is still just a powerful rally in all kinds of different beta-related assets. So Jets, though, the third best place to be. You had Nat Gas up 17% in 5 days. Wow. Taiwan up 10, and then the Jets ETF up 6.5 today, of which was up 4.7, but it's had an absolutely stellar week. All right. Top 3 losers of the past 5 days. What were the areas to avoid? We called it last week. I will give myself a pat on the back. On this one, we said there's no reason to buy oil. It was one of the sharper rallies last week. If you remember, we seeing it. And I said, I think this is an overbought sell here. And I said that on, let me see, I think I have it on April 25th in my notes here. And it was right there when we had a 68.5. And this thing is where? 64. I had actually said this is going to head towards $63. It was almost flat today, down 80 bips, not a ton. Don't forget, the 52-week low for oil through USO is 60.67. It's coming in very close to that. The chart looks pretty ugly. I think this is in distribution for about another week. And I would not be shocked if it comes very close and it retests a new 52-week low. This looks extremely heavy. All moving averages pointing south. This looks like a bear market rally. And look at this. You couldn't even get above, not 50 RSI. You couldn't even get, now we're being cute, but you couldn't get above 48.5 RSI, which this oil has not done since April 3rd when it peaked above its 200-day moving average for just a week. So don't like the movement in USO at all. I would not be shocked at all. In fact, I'm calling for a new 52-week low in oil in the next week or two. And I think that can give some fears over global growth and maybe have a little exit in terms of United States, where it's at critical levels in terms of SPY and potentially other international markets, which have run quite a bit. Second biggest loser of the past 5 days. We talked about this last week. We said gold miners was going to slip further and you're going to get your entry from a 52-week high, 53.25 on the 21st. We said this thing gets volatile. You're going to get your chance. I think it'll go down a little bit lower. And that's exactly where we're at. Now I think you're getting very close to where you want to purchase. I think it potentially wants to get to its 50-day moving average, which, like we said, to the other assets, it's trying to reach, it's kind of like you're trying to jump on your tippy toes and you're trying to reach to the upside for the losing markets. Well, this is a winning market and it's trying to sink as low as its 50-day moving average before it's going to prop higher. So I think you have a little bit more. I think this one's going to base just a little bit more and consolidate next week to 45.5, and that will be your trigger to buy. And I still like this one to about 53. So you can make a ton of coin using, I would do call spreads on this. So if, for example, quickly, this gets to a 45 handle, look at the deltas, but you might want to look at the money and then sell like a 40 or sell a 50. So you could do a check your prices, but and liquidity, of course, in terms of your expiration. But I would do, if it does test, like I said, 45 half, I would do maybe like a 46.50 call spread, check the prices, then potentially do a 1x2, or you could stretch it higher. I still think this is the place to be, and new 52-week highs are on the way, but that will come later, end of May, I believe, in the gold miners. So exactly what we said. This one was at 53. There's a ton of chasing, literally. And again, one of the points, yes, we got an oversold RSI. It was 71. I really like to see on a 52-week high like that new RSI levels. I want to see it get above 75. It couldn't do it. It got to 71. And what happened? Boom. A quick test all the way to 50 RSI. And that's exactly how that happened. So the stock was trading 53 and then boom, all the way to 47 in just 2 weeks. And that's exactly what we called for. So gold miners, the second worst place to be this week after oil. So again, oil a loser, had a dead cat bounce. They exited this week down 7.5%. Of course, there's dollar ramifications for this as well. And then gold miners down 3.5% after having an absolutely rip-roaring year. The third worst place to be this week, volatility. Volatility down 3.33%. Today, it was down just about that. You could see here where we were from last week. My call for VXX, we had one in last week's video because it was also highlighted. I think this is basing right around its 21-day exponential, right around here. So again, this has been a winning asset, right? So the same thing, this would test its 50, which is at 59.75. I think this has a little bit, maybe declines to go next week. Very, very small, down to a 60 handle. You can see here it's at 61. And then I do think we pop back up when you get that selling from across all markets, which I do foresee. I think it's going to happen. Also, just another small note, we're at 47 essentially in the RSI. On VXX, it's tough to chart in non-time series like a volatility short-term futures ETN, but this is the lowest RSI we've had in volatility since March 26th, since it closed underneath its 200-day moving average. So we'll see, is the dog wagging its tail or the tail wagging the dog? An assumption you could have, although it's kind of different because in terms of the slope, but we could potentially get to 51 in volatility, which would be a big $10 drop. I don't think that happens. I think it bases right here on a surprise. Maybe it gets to 58, but I really do see this hanging in, and any kind of negative tariff news or anything like that would really send this going higher. Even potentially like a miss, like a Palantir, where it's obviously a crowded trade, would hurt this asset. So that is my call on volatility. The third worst place to be, down 3.33% this week. So top 3 trades of the past 5 days in all absolute terms: long natural gas, long Taiwan, short oil, USO. Those are the 3 best trades this week in ETF land. I'll say it again, just so you really think properly. Long natural gas, long Taiwan, short US oil, you would have conquered this week. All right. Next, how are we looking here? Okay, top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. What can I say here? Number 1, best trade in the entire market from May 2nd, 2024 through May 2nd, 2025. It is IBIT, the best returning ETF in all the land, up 63% is IBIT. Okay. Just to look at this here, its highs came back on when the Fed cut December 17th, the week before Christmas. We touched basically $62, and here we are at $55. An absolutely amazing looking chart. Just an ugly 3 days when the S&P touched its 52-week lows, but this quickly got above 50 RSI. Also, just want to say something. The trading in IBIT has not been so great since February 4th through, honestly, just April 14th. It's been in a downtrend, and now it's just resumed. I compile that with it clearing percentage points above its rising 200-day moving average, as well as, more importantly, the visualization here is reclaiming strongly its 50 RSI. When I say you really didn't miss anything in Bitcoin from February 4th through April 14th, it's true. It was going from $57, and then the trough I have ended about $47. So an ugly drawdown there, but still a great looking chart. And now it seems to be back. In terms of short-term forecast, looks like it's just fully valued here. Maybe it has just a touch more to go to get to those highs from where we were in mid-Feb. like 56, but I think this is when I said, when do I have my notes here? I said buy Bitcoin on April 10th. I have here April 10th. So I'll give you the high April 10th at $46. We said buy it. I said this is going to get to about $53, but then I think it stops. But if I'm wrong on that, I want to know that there's deeper wallet share for other markets. 53 is not 55. Thus, we've gone a little bit higher, but look at these candles. You're getting smaller, right? Look at the action. It's still green here today, up 44 bips, but it looks like it's getting a little bit tired. And again, there is resistance here, 57. So I would give this maybe to 56. Like I always say, I want to see how this trades this weekend. But it's good to see. You can't keep a good man down. And I bet your absolute leader in the past year, up 63% over 52 weeks, or more than 1% a week. Thereabouts. Pretty extraordinary. The second best place to be in the entire market, gold miners. So you can tell folks are diversifying and they don't have a lot of faith in the US dollar as you're diversifying out of Mag 7, out of dollar denominated currency, like a Bitcoin, digital gold, like a gold miners, actual gold. So GDX just quickly hit its highs April 21st at 53.25, and we already talked about it coming down to its potentially 50-day moving average 45 half, and that's going to be a trigger to get into the second best trade of the entire year. Again, we already went over this, so I don't want to kick a dead horse, but just an ugly period here to start the year. Literally mid-December through mid-Jan was forgivable, and then boom, return to overbought conditions right at the beginning of February. So chart looks absolutely great. GDX up 40% year over year. That's absolutely astonishing. So Bitcoin, the place to be. Gold miners, the place to be. And this is a new one. It's not FXI. FXI slipped to number 4 here. The number 3rd best place to be in the entire marketplace. Germany, with a new all-time high today. Candle still looks good. Look at this chart. Just barely, it got rejected here. It got oversold, and folks said, no, it's worth more than that. We got to buy this. And they did. And it went from 33 to 36 in a day, and it has not looked back. Absolutely stupendous chart. This rare that you see this overbought, and then oversold. This is when, again, people were sell first and then ask questions later. When the U.S. gets on sale, they say, wait a second, really don't want to stay in Germany? Yes, you do. This is the third, again, can't emphasize enough, the third best ETF year over year. This is not a flash in the pan. I do think it's fully valued here. It's a great looking chart. There is no resistance. Again, I'm going max time frame here. We have just in Germany gotten above the global financial crisis December 2008 lows. If you recall, this is when Commerzbank was going to merge with Deutsche Bank for a penny, and the whole space was going under, and it was really, really a problem. We have had an absolutely just stupendous rally from the fall of 2022, October 2022, $20 till now. Germany has doubled. That's absolutely astonishing in 3 years or so. So right here, I do have fully valuation, a full target, about $40. We're at $40. I would look for this one to consolidate over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Again, if we had a kind of a global exit in terms of some of this massive rally that we've had, I think this rests and comes down to just about 38 to 38.5, which is its 21-day exponential moving average, and that would be a decline of $2. So about like 4 or 5%. It could hurt in the in the interim, but an absolute star, and then that's where you would want to get in. This is, again, not a flavor of the week. Your areas to be in: Bitcoin, gold, anything gold related, gold miners, gold miner juniors, Germany, China. It's that simple. Then you can dabble with other things. But in ETF land, I would work that way. Okay, thank you for waiting, Tony. Palantir, last one. Here we go. Palantir Tech, a big earnings report Friday. This thing has really had a absolutely massive rally. So again, the all-time high is 125. It came very close here. They're really gobbling this thing up 7% ahead of earnings. A little bit concerning is the 200 moving average is 50% away. So just be careful. And you can see the confluence of moving averages here between 95 and 103. And I have this from different durations, 20-day, 50-day, 100-day. So it has come far, above, recent averages. I was talking to Aline, who was doing some point and figures on this, and had a 160 target. So I think you'll love that, Tony. If it beats, they expect us to see this going to 160. I have this rally beginning on, April 5th at $73. So let me go to that. April 7th. Yeah, I have the rally. That's a little bit too cute. I'm not even going to say that. But right here, this week of April 7th, 8th, we got the $75, and now we're at 124. So let's just be careful here. I know folks are very excited for the earnings Monday night. We will take a look at it here live on the show. I'll probably do stocks or ETFs that day. But I would not be so to the upside. I think this thing can tap 140. I would have to look at the expected move in the options. I can't do it right now. Just no time right here. But nice. I'm still long going into. Okay, yeah. So, I mean, this is almost binary. This thing's not going to be flat, let's be honest. After earnings, it's either going to move and potentially get to 140. But just be aware, this thing has really popped already. This was at $90 just a couple weeks ago. So they kind of front ran it into earnings. Could it go higher? Yes. Again, think of the tariff-sensitive earnings versus non. This is not. So, to me, that's buoying it higher. But yeah, I mean, like I said, on a beat, I think this gets to 140. I'll calm my britches. I don't think 160 happens, but it's possible. If this past week didn't happen, I would have said not quite 160, but this is just a lot of momentum here when you're trading $20 above the 20-day exponential moving average. That's a little bit rich, and it's had a heck of a incline already. So good luck to you. Their earnings, we can't predict what they're going to say and how the market's going to react. But each of these reports lately have been absolutely just fire, obviously, right? Like almost all of them have led to overbought conditions, minus the Emrg earnings, but that was a nasty macro environment. But this one immediately overbought. This one overbought. We'll see what happens this one. But, the trend is higher. Should it happen? Yeah, I think 140 is very doable. I don't know what your expectations are. And again, on a down move, I do see it going to about $100. All right. So I hope everyone has a grand weekend. Peace out and have a great time.